Welcome, Smoke Ninjas, it's Mick, and today I will conclude the Dark Souls trilogy of godlike Mike Given smoke spots with my personal top 10 smoke spots in Dark Souls 3. The DLCs will not be included here, they will be listed separately in a later video. These spots should provide a great variety of spaces to chill out and partake in some of that potent budding green blossom. So, without further ado, let's jump right in. Starting us off at spot number 10, we have the Firelink Skill Spliff. I originally wasn't going to include Firelink in this list because, as good of a spot as it is, it's just too obvious, because everyone already smokes there. But I think it does have one spot that's worth mentioning because it actually takes a little bit of dedication. By leaving Firelink at this upper area, you'll see a dead tree, and this is where you'll need to master the agile skill of jumping. Oh, fuck you. There we go. And if you can do that, then you can access this spot earlier than you're supposed to. It's quite calm up here, and while you don't get to see much more than usual, the views certainly don't get any worse. I think this spot is nice to begin with because it does require you to prove your hustle. Plus, on this rafter, there's a nest of invisible birds that will offer you magnificent material for the top trade. This is certainly a strong start for the list. Strolling in at number 9, we have the Long Wall Light Up. Above the dire swamp on the Road of Sacrifices there stands a high wall which expands out extensively. Reaching the top of it will grant you a view above the terrible swamps below and allow you to spark up while observing the distant horizon over the ocean and also the snow-peaked mountains. It should be noted that you won't be alone up here though, as you'll notice a big fat roly demon at the end of the wall. If you stay up at this end, the demon will just do its own thing, but personally, one of the better things I find about this wall is when you can walk along it casually by yourself, or maybe even to walk and talk with a bud buddy. And you can't fully do that with this big old demon claiming that side of the wall. So for you to get the full use out of this spot, you will need to outsmoke this demon. And just watch out because it can be a feisty one. Once you've outsmoked it though, you have this expansive wall to use at your leisure. And just remember, on your way down, you can use the slide next to the stairs for one final spin. Reminiscing in at number 8, we have Mary Jane's Merry Memory. Now this spot could be higher, but it just depends on who it is that's actually ranking the spots. And that's because this spot is all about the memory of smoking it up in Anor Londo from Dark Souls 1. That's right, this once beautiful and sun-soaked location from Lordran makes its return, but in a strange fashion. Instead of having the gleaming sun shining down on a large kingdom, you've got the darker and colder breeze blowing through only the main headpiece of Anor Londo. However, even with the changes, some people miss what they would consider home in Lordran, so they could easily smoke up here in reminiscence of whence they came. And while I do place this spot at number 8, again, someone who holds even fonder memories of Anor Londo could place it much higher because there's nothing quite like relishing a roly that reminds of really rambunctious reckonings ringed around the rooftops of this renowned remembrance, resting while repeatedly ripping the roaches of reliable reefer. Am I right? Overlooking the flames at number 7, we have the Tower Side Roof Toke Session. By going to this tower, and going up the platform, and finally jumping off at the right time, you'll make it to this location. This rooftop is perfect because it's got no enemies on it. Sometimes you will see a roly demon walking around over there, but you can just leave him alone because the real spot is over here on the roof. Not to mention that sometimes Sigurd the Onion Knight is hanging around here, and if he is, trust me, you want to smoke up with him. He's probably one of the funniest guys I've had the pleasure of sharing a joint with. That guy knows how to have a blast while getting blasted, trust me on that. And besides that, the burning orange colour of the sky really pops out when the blunt is hitting hard. Accompanied always, of course, by this black Black Hole Sun.
Black hole sun, won't you come?
Hiding away at number 6, we have The Consumed King's Garden of Grass. I must admit there's strange circumstances as to why I really like this spot. And to put it simply, it reminds me of when you'd be a kid and go into even a small cluster of trees and bushes and you'd feel like you're just hidden away from the world, almost like you were living amongst the trees of the Amazon. And even if it was a place like a park or near a riverbank where there would still be some kind of infrastructure, but also lots of growth, you'd still feel like you were in this place where nature was the true architect. Well, anyways, for some reason, this place really seems to capture that feeling, and when you smoke up some good stuff and chill out here, for me, it just adds to that kind of atmosphere. I know it seems like a bit of a tangent or a strange pick, but the feeling is so cool and especially nostalgic, so I thought I could just throw it in here and hopefully some people out there can share similar feelings. This is definitely more of a wholesome spot. But just watch out for these freaks if you want to actually wander around the garden. These are just weird. Shining in at number 5, we have the Smoky Sunlight Altar. Inside this unsuspecting room found atop Lothric Castle lies the altar at which the followers of sunlight come to pray and smoke. But before I continue, I should mention that there's always this knight who stands right outside the room, and he's just a dick in general, so you'll have to outsmoke his ass when you get here. But moving on. The layout for this room is very simple, nothing too crazy going on, just some chairs and some candlelight. But what really enchants this room is, well, the altar itself. Where once stood the statue of a brilliant smoke knight is now the rays of light that shine as bright as the night's delight, at day and night, while resting or in a fight, while grounded or mid-flight. This knight was never slight when it came to the green high blight. But now, as the night and their identity has crumbled, their faded memory is used as the conduit for the sunlight and its servants. Smoking up here is sure to grant you hope and joy as it has famously for Solaire, the sunlight warrior, who by the way peddles some of the heftiest and most uplifting buds of sun-kissed keef you have ever seen. In fact, one time I even witnessed Solaire praising the sun on such a nice day that he was literally bestowed a bud of the gods. Rumour has it that he never used it up and still carries the god's weed with him wherever he goes, merely intaking its scent to give himself a boost of morale. And the reason why he doesn't use it up is because Solaire told me that when it was bestowed upon him, he heard some angelic voice tell him that once the holy weed is smoked, the user will get so high, literally, that they will have ascended. And so, having plenty more work and worship to do in this world, Solaire chooses not to ascend and leave us behind just yet. Man, all my homies love Solaire, and that's why I like to blaze it at the Smoky Sunlight Altar. Striking a resemblance in at number 4, we have the Philosophy Pillar Pulls. For those who've been studying these smoke spots along with me so far, may realise that this spot bears quite the resemblance to the Pharaoh's Doors Philosophy Flower smoke spot from my Dark Souls 2 list, and to those who realised it, you get extra credit for your dedication to the smoke arts. But I must say, even if you have smoked up at that Dark Souls 2 spot, you should still give this one a try, so let me explain the differences. Instead of being lit up by a shining light above, it's actually kept alight from these nice moody candles, and that's not all. These are actually scented candles. By sitting at any one of these pillars and imagining what type of scent you want to smell while blazing up a doobie, these candles seem to magically respond to your smoke and brainwaves, and change the scent they give off to match exactly what you're imagining. Now here's where it gets interesting. If you and someone else occupy 2 of these pillars, the smell that you both imagine at the same time will be even more authentic. And if you occupy all 3 of these pillars, not only can you force a 100% authentic smell to emanate from each candle, but it also then allows you to alter the very taste of the joint. You ever wanted to smoke something that tastes like bubblegum, or roast dinner, or pine trees, or apple drops, or blueberries, or watermelon, or banana, or anything in between? Well, now you can. The smells and tastes that can accompany you here are guaranteed to boost your mental thought process when discussing philosophy at this smoke spot. Gathering in at number 3, we have the Pontiff's Puff Parade. Behold, the arena where you will find Pontiff Sullivan, a very tough boss. Now, I can't show the boss because, well, I outsmoked his ass, of course. And if you can manage to outsmoke him too, then you will have access to one of the main Congress areas of smoke gatherings. This is where you will find meetings being held every once in a while concerning smoke ethics and the possibility of introducing or dismissing certain rules of the code we follow. This gathering place was famously used in the year 2020 AFE to discuss the possible changes in smoke sesh guidelines in response to the Great Corona Halloween Plague, which at the time was ravaging through vast populations in Lordran, Drangleic, Lothric, and beyond. Even when this place isn't being used for smoke meetings, it still has great use for open plan smoking, and even lets you set up your own events for friends like larger scale smoke sessions, big smoke video game LAN parties, and more. This spot holds a great level of importance and utility, and I am honoured to represent it high up here at spot number 3. Triumphantly returning for the third and final in the trilogy, we have the Moonlight Great Smoke III. Now, once you get to the Boreal Valley, this huge moon is pretty much visible from most places. However, I find the effectiveness of this magic marijuana spot to be at its highest where you first enter the valley. The first time you get here, you're just filled with the fresh wisp of cold, not freezing you, but simply just to coat you in a dazzling cool, fresh like mint. As you look around, you'll notice that you've got a coloured stream of a miniature aurora borealis, only enhancing the high once you spark up enough. But as you returning smoke ninjas will have predicted, this spot does indeed have magical properties imbued between it and the Moonlight Greatsword. Legend tells of a myth that if you place the Moonlight Greatsword into the storage box at this bonfire, any type of smoke lit up in the surrounding area will be granted magic blue flames, and the effects of whatever you're smoking will be increased tenfold. Now, how true is this myth? Well, you'll just have to experiment with this method yourself to find out. But what I will say is, some myths are certainly steeped in the truth of a good high. Now, I know what some of you may be thinking at this point. We had the Smoke Congress area in the Boreal Valley, then we had the Moonlight Great Smoke area, also in the valley, and then before that we had the Philosophy Pillar Poles, which is arguably pretty much also in the valley. So, to satisfy those people who have that gripe, I'll give you 2 honourable mentions. Plunging deep into honourable mention 1 is the dubious marijuana of the demon's memory. Going into the haunted catacombs to seek out this spot is no easy task, but if you're some kind of demonologist and or interested in the demons they have displayed in this room, I'm sure you're probably up to the task. Winding through the catacombs maze long enough will find you in the room that I'm talking about. After outsmoking the demonic guards of this place, you will finally get to blaze the devil's lettuce with some of the devil's fallen acquaintances. For those who've battled through the harsh hells of Lordran, you may recognize the main 2 demon forms. The form of the Taurus demon, strong and aggressive, in combat and smoking prowess. And the first form demon, deeply rooted with fire and pyromancies, making it extremely effective when it comes to outsmoking those who are not prepared, and for keeping alight the largest of rollies. It's plain to see that this room was made to worship the evil smoking acts of these infamous smoke demons, for each one you see on display was once a high-ranking smoke demon that underwent tasks to mislead, manipulate, and ultimately outsmoke those who weren't strong enough to resist the temptation of these smoke demons' offerings. With these offerings typically seen in a bowl or pot of flaming grass that allows the victim to see the greatest visions their mind could comprehend, which is usually how people fall for it. and those who couldn't resist turned into these, the form of the Capra demon, enslaved and forced to grind and cut weed for the demon overlords forever, until their lords met the blades of justice and got outsmoked. It's a rich and powerful history, perfect to get enveloped in while burning up some of the fine diced grass you have at your disposal. And running me far out of breath at honourable mention too is the Flaming Pot Flame Up Pot. This spot has got to be what is most forgotten in this grotto, feeding this plot of bebop and whatnot. Once you outsmoke these nuns, there's none that can null the burr of this breakfast bowl, overflowing with flames and flowers of jazzy, jaguar-jinxed jumble of spices and spirits, grown from the motley moss found in each cracked creek and crevice of this conjoined cave, of high ceilings and echoing meanings, of which different strain of weed is plain to lead to the highest high to set you free, like the rays of God that break through the walls, ground and all, to reach the deepest place that needs the greatest grace of what exists beyond the gates of this cavern's deathly halls. So, by stirring this cauldron and tossing the ingredients of all in, you'll soon be ballin', higher than LeBron and so far beyond that you'll one day look down and wonder however you walked, when really what it took was enough talk and to break down and grind out the full stock of the plant that surrounds and compounds the mysteries of life to which you unlock, by breathing the smoky fog and seeing the bright face of God, asking how you got so tall enough to see it all, and then you answer, I'm just a ninja, I don't know all, I'm just on a journey to far and beyond, just take me home, I've seen enough, I don't want more, I'm not that tough. So the God takes you home and rests your head, where you soon decide to get out of bed, and you tell yourself that you have to be brave, just enough to explore this cave. You head inside and see a flame, it flickers and waves and calls your name. Hold on a second, back here again? Am I in a cycle? When will it end? You look inside to the embers gleam, just to see it was all a dream. Was this time your last? Probably not, because that's the power of the flaming pot. Now I must admit, I lied when I told you that I'd be doing 2 honourable mentions, because who would I be if I didn't include a 3rd honourable mention in this final 3rd entry into this trilogy of games? And plus, did you really think I'd leave out a smoke dragon area in this list? Hell no. But this time, this spot has got some extra baggage. This is Havel's Heinous Hemp. Travelling to the stunning distant land of Archdragon Peak, you'll see many sights that seem awesome to smoke around. The main one you might think of is here, overlooking this colossal dragon laying on that mountain. But getting here is just plainly unreasonable with the amount of enemies that block your way. So instead, the spot that I like in this location is just across from this bonfire, and up this ladder. Here you will find the decimated remains of a fallen doobie dragon, outsmoked at the hands of Havel. And if this is your first time getting here, then you will still find him relishing his latest victory over a smoke opponent. It is your duty as a member of the Smoke clan, and for your own safety in this spot, to end the mad rampage of Havel. Once you do outsmoke him though, this area is really nice to spark up. It's actually high enough and open enough to let you see the surroundings, including that enormous mountain dragon that I mentioned. However, as with the trend in the previous 2 lists, this dragon-related area has cultivated a strange uprising in dragon occultism. Although Havel will be aggressive towards anyone who tries to smoke here, there are some who seek him out specifically in order to outsmoke him for his heinous acts against the dragons. And these people will smoke stuff just as heinous if commanded to by a dragon. They even torment their own bodies into taking a twisted form, just so they can merely represent the race of dragons in every spliff they smoke. More often than not, their wish is to eradicate the age of fire and re-enter an age of eternal doobie dragons and smoke dragons, where they will be the supreme smokers of all that smoke below them. All we can do is to spark up alongside these smoke dragons to show them that a great harmony and the greatest highs can be found in the broad share of diverse blunt rotations. But unlike the level-headed smoke ninjas, Havel's solution was to turn straight to violence. And it's a shame, because around here we often call him Havel the Candyman, since he supplies some of the greatest weed ever grown. Rest in peace, Candyman Havel. Who can take the bad times and sell some shit to you? Then add a B onto the end of do. Havel can, the Candyman can. The Candyman can, cause he mixes it with juice and makes the doobie good. Who can taste the rainbow and sell it on the side? Grow it in the sun and make tsunamis on the tide. Havel can, oh the Candyman can. The Candyman can, cause he mixes it with juice and makes the doobie good. The Candyman sells everything that's well. Every blunt is doobie-licious, and you know it's never ever dubious. You could probably smoke the ashes. Who could sell tomorrow and sell it on a whim? Pre-roll a blunt whose ember never dims. Havel can, oh the Candyman can. The Candyman can, cause he mixes it with juice and makes the doobie good. The Candyman sells everything that's well. Every blunt is doobie-licious, and you know it's never ever dubious. You could probably smoke the ashes. Who could sell tomorrow and sell it on a whim? Pre-roll a blunt whose ember never dims. Havel can, oh the Candyman can. The Candyman can, cause he mixes it with juice and makes the doobie good. Yes, the Candyman can, cause he mixes it with juice and makes the doobie good. Havel can, the Candyman. Havel can, Havel can, the Candyman. Havel can, the Candyman. Havel can. Smoke ninjas, dragons and wizards. The final spot. Take a pull, hold it in, count to 3. Come with me and you'll see the best spot for smoke and fumigation. Take a toke and you'll be in a world of jubilation. We will start with a spark, lighting up for that great long inflation. What you'll feel will defy explanation. If you want to smoke in paradise, simply light it up and do it. Any type of strain will do it. Want to fly sky high? There's nothing to it. There is no sesh I know that compares to smoke and fumigation. Smoking there, you'll get high if you puff on the doobie. If you want to smoke in paradise, simply light it up and do it. Any type of strain will do it. Want to fly sky high? There's nothing to it. There is no sesh I know that compares to smoke and fumigation. Smoking there, you'll be high if you puff on the doobie. Thank you all so much for the support and for seeing through this purely psychedelic fever dream trilogy of smoke spots. And while the Dark Souls trilogy is concluded, by no means do I want to stop making this content for you smoke ninjas out there. I mean, we still have the DLCs to go through at some point too, so technically we aren't even done with Dark Souls yet. It's been really great to see so many smoke ninjas unify under these videos through the comments, by people praising the spots, giving awesome spots of their own, and some people who don't smoke but still appreciate and love the community and videos, which is great because, I mean, you don't have to be a smoker or a stoner at all to enjoy these videos. It's all just through my own passion of writing and video games that makes this all happen. And look, everyone is welcome, so if you find your comfort here, you're welcome to stick around for as long as you need, and I want to wish everyone safe travels wherever you're going and easy going whatever you're doing. I don't know yet if the next video will have a deadline of about 2 weeks again, like I've been doing, but to satisfy your time in between now and the next sesh, here is your quest for Dark Souls 3. I've left this message behind in today's top spot. So, for you most dedicated smoke ninjas out there, go find it and praise the message. And as always, whether you're a smoke wizard, a smoke dragon, or even just an aspiring smoke ninja, hope this list has given you a few good spots to visit next time you want a nice old blast from the grass. And until the next sesh, this has been Mick. Take care, and don't you dare go hollow.